Hi! Well, I want to say thank you so much for the support on the first video that I did. I received like an outpouring of support on public posts and just through private messages. And it was amazing. It was amazing, like these conversations that were going on. Majority of those that posted were willing to share that they also suffer through depression, and which I thought was just amazing that so many people are being willing to open up and talk about this. Depression is definitely, I firmly believe it is definitely more prevalent than we realize, but it's just not really talked about. And so seeing so many people just open up and be willing to be vulnerable with people that they know, but also strangers, because they don't know who's reading these comments on my Facebook post. And it was a great seeing that so many people are willing to have this discussion and talk about it and say, you're not alone. I suffer from depression too. I did receive a couple messages kind of asking about the work that I talked about in my first video. And so I thought about doing a follow-up video kind of talking about how that therapy process works and begins, and how that leads into the work that I was talking about. Especially since it might be new to some people. They might be at the same place I was, where they've done everything that they can possibly do on their own, and they've hit that wall, and they're thinking, I need to do something else, but I don't know what. And if you don't know what to expect, something's really scary, and it can be really overwhelming. So I thought maybe I'd just talk about that a little bit, hopefully to make it not seem so overwhelming and scary. In the videos when I talk about the work, yeah, I'm very vague about it, and just by calling it the work. But the reason is it's different for everybody. So like, I'm going to share kind of how my process was, but this might not be your process. And so it's really important for you to find out what works for you, how your process works. Hopefully by hearing mine, it gives you some ideas of how yours is. So like for me, there were moments where we didn't do a whole lot of talking. There was moments I cried a lot. And then there were times where I was just going from point A to point C, back to B, I was just all over the map. But that's where that skilled therapist comes into. They can kind of pull out those pieces and be like, oh, well, I'm hearing this. Through these conversations, different things would come out. Like I would start feeling like this is what I need to do. This is where I need to go. Oh, this is hard to explain. And I know I'm still being vague. I'm sorry. So like, for example, one of the sessions, I was noticing I was isolating myself quite a bit. And so during that conversation, I just felt like I needed to be more social. But at the same time, leaving the house and being extremely social is very overwhelming, very scary, and hard when you have no energy to want to leave the couch or get up in the morning. And so I knew what I needed to do. And so what I would do is just set little goals. And so I'm like, okay, so I'm going to make it to my dance class this week. I'm going to, find a writing group, which I never did follow through up on. So sometimes you don't follow through on the goals, but I did make it to the dance class. And so I just do these little things just to get a little bit more social. And then I'd come back and kind of report. I'm like, oh, this is what I worked on. And this is how it made me feel. I'm feeling better after doing these social activities and not being so isolated. And my energy level was a little bit more. One time I was just feeling like I need to actually cook a meal. I'm not the best eater. And so I'd come back and be like all excited. I'm like, I made chicken and rice. And we would celebrate. And then we would talk about how I felt making it and how I felt after I ate it, and how nutrition plays into depression. And so it was just these little things. But it was in those moments, it was what I was feeling that I needed to do. And then I would work on it in between sessions. Number one is I trusted my therapist and I opened up. Some people luck out with the first therapist they get and they click and they feel safe and they feel like they can trust that person and really open up. Some people, they might need to switch a couple times before they find that person that they really click with. Everyone's different. If you're one of those people that is, oh, this therapist is not working for me, don't give up. Don't give up. Switch therapists. Find a new one. It's important to be able to feel safe in that environment, because you're opening up and talking about really personal stuff. Whatever you're wanting to talk about. But you're being really vulnerable, and you need to be able to feel safe and trust the person that you're doing that with. And so that's why it's important to keep trying if you're not with that person yet. I listen to myself. You know what you need. You know what you need. And so just listening to yourself, following your gut. And, it may take practice listening to yourself. I know I'm horrible at listening to myself. I'm always like, oh, no, that's a stupid idea. And so I've been like that for years. So this was very kind of new for me, to listening to myself and saying like, okay, I do know what I need. But once I started, and then I realized, I was like, oh, I'm doing this and I'm feeling better. I'm getting a little bit more energy. It was like easier to then start listening to myself each time. And then the third thing would be acting on it. Acting on what your body's telling you that you need. And you might not always get all the goals accomplished. That's okay. Like I said, when I was talking about being social, I did not do all the goals that I set out, but I did a few of them. And the few that I did was enough to make my energy up higher. It's kind of all I have about explaining my work. This was my process. This is what worked for me. But what will work for you might be completely different. But I wish everyone the best, and just keep talking about it. Keep talking about it. If we talk about it, we don't give it the power. We take the power back. Yes, so keep talking about it. Yeah, that's all I got. But wait, there's more. While I'm doing this follow-up video, I should report on the first week of my things I was going to do. I'm very proud of myself. I did it every day. Every day I've done the goal and I've written in the gratitude journal. Honestly, I was afraid there might be a day or two that I would not work on it. But I'm very proud to report that I have been. I'm so proud. I'm looking forward to continuing that progress. Here's to doing another week, every single day, goal and